All right, New York Knicks fans, this is Tim with New York Knicks Unleashed. How to do an on-screen video today because of the fact that evidently I'm AI, according to YouTube. I love it because no one thought I was very intelligent, but now I'm artificial intelligence. Sorry if you follow the YouTube channel or you follow online Big Blue Sports or New York Giants Straight Talk. You know I got to add the sound effects. Want to talk about the New York Knicks, want to talk about the parade, want to talk about the timeline to the championship because I think that's something that's overlooked. I want to take it back all the way to the Phil Jackson era, and I want to take it back to the early days of Leon Rose and that dead period between Phil Jackson and Leon Rose, because I think you have to take a look at how this team was built, how this team was constructed, and get a better idea of a team in the making. And a lot of this is going to be old news for a lot of Knicks fans, but it's just something I think we need to go back and look at because we have such a celebration. You can see the parade behind me. We had such a celebration yesterday. You had such a moment of glee and joy for the entire city. I'm not one of these Knicks fans listen, I've been going to the Garden since 81. I can say that I've been a true Knicks fan since like 83. I've been through the ups, I've been through the downs, I've been through the trials, I've been through the tribulations. We've talked about it multitudes of times on the show. I still have nightmares of Charles Smith missing. I can't even talk. Charles Smith missing twice under the basket. I don't want to even get into it. Don't even want to get into Starks. Don't want to get into any of that bullshit because you know what? This is a day of happiness. The crescendo has been reached. We are now at the pinnacle. We are now at the peak. The parade was one of those moments in times that everyone had to revel. And as I was saying before, I'm not one of these Knicks fans that says, listen, if you've been following the team since 2020, you're not a true Knicks fan. You're a front runner. I have a problem with people that haven't followed the team until the last 2 months and then go out and buy all this Knicks gear. And all of a sudden, you know what's funny? And this is going back a little bit. 1986, when the Mets won the World Series and someone was pouring all this champagne, I can't remember which player it was, and they poured it all over Tim McCarver. And Tim McCarver said, you know what I find interesting? It's the people that do the least that pour the most champagne. And that's what I think about with some Knicks fans that haven't been following this team. But I'm not even going to get into that because you know what? There's nothing but love here today. And the parade was phenomenal. I did not get an opportunity to go. The venerable James Williams, who's always on our New York Giants Straight Talk show, was at the parade, took some videos for us, took a bunch of videos, but we're not going to play all of them. Took some videos for us. I have friends that got to like Fulton Street Station and sat there in the subway for like 45 minutes just to get off the fucking subway, only to get on the street at like 7:15 and get turned away. That nobody knew where the checkpoints was. Nobody knew where the security points were. You had to literally be there at 6 o'clock to get yourself a good, within a good position right when they opened up. But you know what? It was that moment. It was that time that we have been waiting to see, and we've been waiting to see literally forever. And I want to play a couple of videos. I want to play one video that really just shows, and this is like 7 o'clock in the morning. It shows the crowd of where we were at. And we're talking like I got to remember that from the. We're talking like that was like 6 o'clock in the morning or 6:30 in the morning. That's how long this city has been waiting to explode and with happiness and excitement. I mean, every moment, every float, everyone that went by, it was just something special to watch. It was just something special to see. Did anyone think that was going to happen? I keep hearing that phrase, world champions, world champions. I still can't fathom it. I really can't. That, of course, is Mitchell Robinson. Mitchie the Kid is probably not going to be here next year. James Dolan came out and said he is not going to the second apron because of the fact I think the penalty is something like fucking like a quarter, like $250 million if we sign Mitchell Robinson, if we make some other moves. So we have 3 draft choices. We have a later one, then we have 2 early seconds. So I'm not overly concerned. Mitchell Robinson was a huge part of this season, so I am no way taking away or diminishing what he did, because we do not win this championship without him. But, like they always say, families break up, friends move on. Sometimes you just have to find, look, the guy over there, he gets it. He's watching me intently. I'm getting a little concerned. Just going to move over there a little bit. But it's just one of those things. It's one of those things, and we're going to figure it out. I have all the faith in this Knicks staff. And this is kind of what I want to talk about a little bit. I wanted to kind of go back in history, come back and just kind of go back in time a little, go back to the building of the foundation of this team, go back to the roster, go back to the, hold on. I have to click out my other photo that I was about to put out, but I want to go back to going back to Phil Jackson. I like to call it the executive dark age. Phil Jackson was from 14 to 17. James Dolan, you can love him, you can hate him, you can disagree with him politically. I don't fucking care. It doesn't really matter to me. But in 2014, James Dolan made a conscious decision that he was going to give Phil Jackson 5 years, $60 million to run basketball operations. Phil Jackson, the advent of the triangle, Chicago Bulls fame, Los Angeles Lakers, blah, 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 blah. But the problem was, and this has been the problem, that decision produced an 80-166 record under Phil Jackson. You kill the years of Melo. You basically at some point in time, I like to refer to as roster sabotage. He tore down, I'm not going to say what was a competitive roster, but I'm going to say which was a useful roster, and basically put together a team that alienated a lot of his players by basically using an outdated system, the triangle offense. In a league that had shifted in the NBA with Phil Jackson to an increasingly dominant three-ball shooting pace, Phil Jackson was still trying to run a system that he made famous in the 90s, the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, early 2000s. It kind of put a divide between some of the players because this system was rigidly enforced. You then go out and pick out Kristaps Porzingis. And Kristaps Porzingis, if you look at that draft, that was the same draft with the Karl Anthony Towns draft. You had Towns, you had D'Angelo Russell, you had Jameer Okafor, and then you had Kristaps Porzingis. It looks like Towns was the key to that draft. But you even alienated your soon-to-be star in 2015. Kristaps Porzingis even said that Phil Jackson's management style was toxic. And then it later came out that Jackson was falling asleep during draft workouts. So you have this 80-66 record. James Dolan, you would think, would have gone the entire different direction. You thought James Dolan would have just went fucking crazy and got back in. And for a brief moment, the interim regime, which was under Steve Mills, Scott Perry, and James Dolan, it was, I call that the dark ages, because that really was the dark ages. It was one of those things that it wasn't until March of 2020 that they hired, you hired the super agent. You got Leon Rose. And it was interesting because I remember when Leon Rose was first hired back in 2020, there was a lot of angst with Knicks fans because Knicks fans were like, this guy's an agent. We're only hire him because he has Kevin Durant and all these other guys. So we're only hiring him because he wants to bring these guys in. It turned out that wasn't even the case. Turned out that Leon Rose had a very astute basketball mind because July in 2020, he hired Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau should have been the hire directly after Phil Jackson, but I understand you had Steve Mills, you had Scott Perry, you had everyone else running this shit show. But you brought in Tom Thibodeau. You brought in a calming force. You brought in a guy that's known for this hyper-intensive, defensive-minded coaching style. And he immediately decided, you know what, this is what we're going to be. He's going to demand max effort. There's going to be defensive structure. There's going to be accountability, and there's going to be physical conditioning. Now, under Tibbs, you got to remember, the Knicks made a run to the 4 seed in 2021, reestablishing the Mecca as a respectable marketplace for basketball. He built a foundation. He did everything that he possibly could. You brought in these players, you brought in these factions, you brought in these guys that just made sense for this team. And you basically, if you go back a little bit, you go back to 2018 when you kind of drafted your foundation a little bit. 2018 is when you brought in Mitchell Robinson, drafted 36 overall. He's currently the longest tenured Knicks. Hopefully that tenure continues. It was that defensibility. It was that ability to protect the rim, to rebound, and to point, at points in time to actually put in some points. And then what does he do, Leon Rose, in 2020? We know what he does. He signs Jalen Brunson away from the Dallas Mavericks, 4 years, $110 million. Jalen Brunson talked about the year prior to coming to the Knicks that he wanted to stay a Dallas Maverick, and he had that big playoff series. Some people thought he was going to be a Jerome James with Isaiah Thomas when he put out that terrible contract. But Brunson outgrew his contract by year 2. You come by the nickname of Captain Clutch, and now you have a 2026 title and an MVP. I should say it's his finals MVP. 2021, what do you also do? You grab Miles Deuce McBride. I remember when Miles went down in the Orlando game early in the season. I was there. There was so much angst about this. There was so much, and it was the fortitude of the Knicks that pushed through his injury because he was out for an extended period of time. He became a vital perimeter defender and a threat off the bench to score. And then what do you do? What does Leon do? 2023, it was a trade for Josh Hart, multi-team deal. Brought rebounding, brought guts, brought glue, brought a tough mentality, and brought a new team's culture. That's what happened. And we also have to take a look at, Dante DiVincenzo and Julius Randle, because they were still part of what turned this team around because they went out for Cat. And then what did the Knicks do in 2023 in December? They trade RJ Barrett, and I'm on quickly. I was more against the OG Anunoby trade because of OG Anunoby's injury history, but there was no thought against the fact that he was not an elite defender. He is an elite defender. And he basically grew into a playoff scorer. And then what do? You go out and get Bridges. Everyone's still complaining about some people were still complaining about sending 5 first-round picks to the Nets. If you're a good team, what are those picks going to be? All the way at the bottom of the first round? But you built a core. You built a chemistry. At one point in time, you had Brunson, Hart, and Bridges. Or not one point in time. It's a point in time, and you do. A team that, if you look at their Villanova career, you got Brunson got 2 titles. You got Bridges got 2 titles. Hart's only got 1 in reference to the NCAA finals. You built something quickly. Not even quickly. It took you 5 years, but you built something. And then the masterstroke. You could say it's a shocking blockbuster right before training camp. The Knicks, of course, get Karl-Anthony Towns from Minnesota. You got a guy that provides elite floor spacing. He showed that in the playoffs. He's got that defensive prowess. He has 10.6 rebounds in the playoffs. Only guy that I ever know. He's got a couple triple doubles in the playoffs. Only guy I know that has got a triple double going 1 for 4 and still has a triple double. The Knicks had their highest playoff offensive rating ever in NBA history this playoff, their entire playoff run. You also go out and get Tyler Kolk. You also go out and get a little bit of fine-tuning here and there. You go out and pick up the Jose Alvarado. I like to refer to him as the Angry Chihuahua. You have the Landry Shamet. Again, this team does not win without Landry Shamet and the contract that he took. This team was also put together towards the end with Jordan Clarkson. This is a team that was built for the moment and built the right way. You have your starting 5 intact next season. The bench is going to get a little tricky, but right now you have Shamet. You're going to need to worry about. Like I said, you got Robinson. You're going to need to worry about right now, and you got Jose Alvarado. I think Jose stays. Jose's got a $4.5 million player option. Landry Shamet, I think, can go out and somewhere and get paid, but I have to, you have to kind of see, because you know what? Sometimes when you get that ring, and then after you got the ring, it's about getting the paycheck. I think Landry Shamet might be. I don't think Landry Shamet is going to be as dynamic on another team than he is on this Knicks team, but I do think it's going to be one of those moments in times that he's probably going to go out and look for get his contract. We saw what Isaiah Hartenstein got, and I used to really like to refer to him as Lurch. We know what Lurch got, especially after he left when he went to OKC. I see someone like Mitchell Robinson getting a bigger deal, but I also don't see a lot of teams flushed with cash this off season. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of things to see about. We got the draft coming up next week. So we're going to be doing a draft video. We're going to do a couple draft videos as well. We did a draft live stream a couple years ago. I think I might do the draft live stream again because that was a hell of a lot of fun. So we're going to deal with that as well. Don't forget, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that shit you're supposed to do. Let's try to make this channel more successful. I want to thank all those who've been following us on the podcast. It's been a great run. It's been a fun run. We're going to like the Knicks. We're going to continue this party going into the 2026-2027 season. So again, this is Tim, this New York Knicks Unleashed, and I'm out of here.